Okay, so this is a recent funding that we recently completed. It's a construction loan for a duplex. I originally got this lead from one of our commercial realtors that we work really closely with. They said, hey, one of my old friends, they actually need someone to help them. They went to a broker already. They tried to do it through the residential channel. They couldn't get it done. And then they suggested a private lender. And the private lender was around 12 to 14% at that time with fees. And they were asking, hey, Wing, can you guys do something better? Can you help my friend? And I said, sure, I'll have a conversation with them. So I spoke with them. The project was a really good project. It was well located in East Vancouver. They're looking to build right away because they got their permits already. They had the site for around like 9 months already. So I went through the entire entitlement process. And they kind of told me, it's like, hey, do I have to pay these kind of fees, 12 to 14%? I was like, no, that's nonsense. I spoke with them and I think they were definitely a good tier one client, but however, there were some challenges. Tuan?
Yeah, and going back to that, and I think the broker was doing the right thing, trying to go through the residential channel for sure initially. But as we all know, like lending policy and construction sides, it's tightening up right now. And the other challenge is that there's a lot of duplex build in East Vancouver, and so there's an oversupply of units for sale. So imagine if a lender is trying to do this loan, they're worried that once you finish, how can you pay what's the exit strategy? How can this loan get paid back if there's too many projects available? So that's another one of the challenge there. Also, this is a first time builder, but they were able to mitigate that by finding an experienced builder. And then the other unique thing is that we hit a unique market right now. So rates went down, and then right in February, with Trump announcing a bunch of tariffs, that could impact the building supply. So the hard costs of the build. So the lender that we got an offer on actually gave us an offer, and a few weeks later, the offer was actually revoked. They're saying, "Hey, our lending policies changed. We feel that the numbers don't work anymore." So we had to quickly pivot to figure out, oh, can we find a tier one bank or a tier one lender to do this deal? So we pivot and we were able to find a pretty good offer. In this situation here, we got them 75% loan to cost, and our rate was at prime plus 1.65%. The lender fee was 1% in the situation. We got an 18-month term. And a key item here is like there's no QS report. Like what's an average cost for a QS report weighing on
$2,000 to $3,000, I would
yeah.
say.
And
And
you need
then
one for every draw too, I think,
you need
right?
one for every draw, and each draw is probably around like no, up to $1,000. So it's
Yeah,
quite
depending who you
quite
use.
expensive.
Yeah.
Because we were able to get that waived. All they needed was a appraisal progress report, which is only a couple $100.
Mm.
So we actually saved our client quite a bit of money and quite a bit of time as well, because these reports turn around a lot faster than a QS report, I would say.
Sure. In the situation here, it applies very similar to multiplex. We've seen an uptick in duplex build and multiplex now, the new zoning changes. So we're seeing a lot of applications going through. So I think if you have any clients or you know anyone that's kind of in that space of building that maybe you got turned down by a current lender, perhaps could have been just bad timing or maybe not properly packaging the file, I think. That's important too. I think having that proper package so that you can mitigate any risks and the lender sees some sort of value, that's when they'll actually be interested in lending to you or taking on your project. So we've seen a lot of requests on the multiplex side, I would say the last 6 months to a year. But it's very challenging to figure out which lender is the right fit. And also depends on so many parameters within the project. Like what are some key parameters that people are looking at, lenders looking at, like builder experience?
Yeah, builder experience, looking at you have to have cash, you have enough contingency for the build,
Yeah.
right? You're looking at location now.
Yeah, location
Um,
carefully.
Yeah, if you're looking at your construction contract to see how much fixed costs of the materials that you have priced in.
Mhm.
Obviously, with the tariffs, we don't know what's going to go on yet and how much it's going to affect, your softwood lumber, your
Yeah, all your
appliances,
hard.
concrete, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
that's just some of the things that we'll look for now, just to
Yeah.
see if you can have more price certainty with the uncertain, market
And
conditions.
even I find like the way they provide the offer, a lot of people are just zoning in on the loan to cost, the rate and the fee, but there's terms and conditions. Like in a multiplex, you got 4 units or 8 units. Some of them are requiring pre-sales because the market's softening. The lenders are trying to mitigate their risk by having pre-sale requirements. So if you're a builder or you know anyone that's at space that are looking for alternative solutions in terms of not just the rate and the fee, but the term and conditions, I think that's where we can help kind of navigate that landscape. And I would say like the landscape's changing quite rapidly and it moves based on the market condition. And so luckily with our team, we have our pulse on the ground and we know which lenders are open for business and which one isn't. And that can help kind of, I think, key thing for us is like execution and knowing where to go and how to place these loans. I think that's a key thing with this deal here is that things didn't go the way we wanted. It got our offer got revoked, but we're able to pivot. So I think that's a big win for our clients there.